Social selling and the black box that is LinkedIn. A lot of sellers and leaders know LinkedIn plays a huge part in your go-to-market motion. You and your company have a brand, whether you like it or not. Our first guest of 2025, Alexis Scott, aka the Fairy Job Mom, is a ghostwriter, a brand expert, and a sales recruiter. Simply put, she is an authority on LinkedIn. She shares how to transform your sales team into brand evangelists and social sellers, coming up next on Coach's Corner. I'm super excited to be back on Coach's Corner. This is our first episode of 2025, and we are bringing an awesome guest to kick the year off. We're about to dive into brand evangelism and social selling, something that I feel like everybody's talking about, everybody has questions about. Very few people have really mastered it. And Alexis Scott, otherwise known as the Fairy Job Mom on LinkedIn, has built a personal brand around this topic that goes toe-to-toe with the best of them. She's got a really cool story and history of experience, from starting her own business to working with some amazing brands. I'll let her introduce herself, though. Alexis, how are you doing today?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me today. For those who don't know me, my name is Alexis Scott, aka the Fairy Job Mom. I am a LinkedIn ghostwriter for founders and executives, and I'm also a career branding coach, if you will. Not a traditional career coach. My focus is really teaching professionals how to market themselves into their next opportunity. You know, when we think about job seeking, we really need to present our best selves so that we can attract opportunities, we can open doors with our brand, and then land wherever we want to be.
Yeah, I'm really pumped to have you today because today's topic, right, transforming your sales team into brand evangelists and social sellers, is such a relevant topic. You know, I think when you listen to the audience, right, we have sales managers, directors, VPs, founders. I think everybody really wonders, like, how do you do that effectively, right? In terms of calling and emailing, there's a data point in every sales engagement platform and every CRM that shows us how and what people are doing. But there isn't a ton of like valuable data points that show what good looks like on LinkedIn. So really excited to tap into your experience here. And let's kick it off, right? If I'm a listener right now, Alexis, and I'm a sales leader that really wants to take my team to the next level on LinkedIn, what are the first steps that I need to do in order to transform them into becoming effective social sellers on LinkedIn? Like, what are those first few steps I need to think about?
I think the first is articulating to them that that's what you want them to be doing. Sometimes people are afraid to post on LinkedIn because they have been trained to A, not to, or B, if you're posting on LinkedIn, that must mean that you're looking for a new job. So being really clear with your team in the fact of, no, I actually want you present because that is where our buyers are living and breathing. And you know, that's their water cooler, if you will. That's step one. Step two is going to be their profiles. So again, we go back to the marketing component. I know you all are salespeople, but we got to think about perception, right? Perception is reality. So giving your team a concrete kind of template or profile of like, this is what good looks like for their personal profiles. Now, I will say it is their personal profile. You under no circumstances own it. You under no circumstances should be telling them exactly what to have written. But what you can do is provide an example of good, right? Like here's kind of what an optimized profile looks like. I will tell you the best sellers want to promote the company that they work for because if they are socially selling, it makes their job a heck of a lot easier, you know, to have your logo up there, which you have to imagine every time someone is going to one of your team's profiles, you're getting that free advertising, you're getting that brand awareness, you're getting that brand recognition. And so it's really a win-win there.
Yeah, something that really stuck out there is I think, you know, at least for people like us that have been around a little bit, you know, take it back, let's just go 10 years. Like if I was a rep, I didn't need to be on LinkedIn to succeed. And like there was definitely like a gray area of how much a company could ask you or not ask you to use
Right.
LinkedIn. But like, I think now if you're a seller or somebody that wants to be a high performing seller, I think what people are realizing is I need to do that in order to keep up with my competition.
Yeah.
If I'm only on phone and email, there's somebody at my competitor that's doing the social component and I'm falling behind. So I think like that's one trend I'm seeing is people are kind of coming to the light or having an aha moment of like, this has to be more formally part of our strategy? And you mentioned something about like perception is reality, right? I think one thing people struggle with when they get started building that is like, what do I post? How do I actually make my profile look good? So like, how can sales teams use content creation to establish credibility and have their buyer look at them as a authority in the space?
Yeah, I think, when you're first getting started, offering a workshop is a really great idea. A lot of people have great ideas. They don't necessarily have experience putting them, quote unquote, on paper, right? Like they don't have experience writing them down. Salespeople are incredible talkers, usually. Some of them are good writers and some of them aren't. Um, but if you can create an environment, a safe space for your team to kind of toss around ideas, toss around topics, and come up with their general content pillars for each person. So when I talk about content pillars, I always tell people, think about what do you want to be known for, right? And so when you think about social selling, in general, you're going to talk about your company and what you do, the problems that you solve. You're going to talk about sales, sales tactics, sales skills, the sales industry. And then you're going to have a third pillar. And that third pillar is very personal. It's going to be something unique about you that's going to draw people to you as a human, right? So if we think about the first two buckets, the first being your company, what you're selling, the work that you're doing, maybe the industry that you're serving could be one. And then you're going to think about sales. Those are two similar things for your entire team. Now, is the content going to be different? Yes, everybody has a different perspective. But if you can sit down with your team and just create a brainstorm of ideas that people can then cherry pick from and say like, ooh, actually, I have a story about that. I can talk about this. Make it easy for them. The other thing I will say is we are not about perfection on LinkedIn. Okay. So it's not a thesis. It's not an essay. It is quick little sound bites of all the cool things that you know and all the cool things that you're doing and how you help people. Again, it's a collective coming together of like, it's not going to be perfect. We're going to do our best. Here are some ideas to get you started. Here are some prompts. Prompts are amazing. I even use them as a ghostwriter just to get the wheels in my brain turning and make it easy. Like you don't want this to feel heavy for your team. The heavier it feels, the less likely they are to do it. And also give your team some time. So when you think about this, right, there are sales metrics that everyone's trying to hit. I got to dial X numbers. I got to send out X emails. I got to book X meetings. Give them a time block to write each week and freedom to say, like, this is part of my metric, right? Like I need to write 5 LinkedIn posts or whatever it is so that it's not quote unquote a waste. It's not being recognized as a valuable contribution to their sales efforts. Because that's the other thing too, right? Is that sales leaders sometimes are so concerned with, all right, how many dials, how many meetings, how many this, how many that. They forget that the sales and marketing mix is a mix. And there are certain things that you do that are a flywheel. There are certain things that you do that, they might not generate a meeting right that second when you post it, but, 2 weeks later, a month later, someone's like, oh, dude, I saw that post you wrote. That was so cool. Would love to chat about your solution, right? It's not immediate. And attribution is tricky, but LinkedIn is like the never ending gift. It lives on forever.
Man, that to me, there's a lot to unpack there, but a few things stick out. The last part there, without a doubt, like sales leaders are so just like, if I can't see results now and can't attribute it, it's a waste of time. And like, to your point, someone could see that post 2 months from now or remember something or, hey, that they tagged me in a comment on that post. I need to check that software out, right? Whatever it is, like it does not have immediate return. And I think what a lot of people assume is that it does. Like when they get started, they force it and they assume I should see results right away. But the bigger umbrella of what you said there with your pillars is like what I sum that up as intentionality. Like if you really want to get good at this and like deploy to your team, like you need to be intentional. You have to set time aside. You need to enable a safe space for people to grow. And then the last pillar you talked about that I want to double tap on now is like being personal and almost like being authentic, right? So I think a lot of people are like, I don't know if I should share this, or I don't know if I should tell it in my normal tone, my sarcasm, whatever it is. What strategies do you recommend for reps that want to authentically engage with prospects on LinkedIn? And like, how do you come across authentic and not salesy when it's actually time to pitch or ask for something?
Yep. So two things. The first thing is always write in your voice, in my opinion. Now, not curse words. Don't use curse words.
Yeah.
But write in your authentic voice. You are not a robot. You are not a corporate, formal this, that, or the other. I would say also you want to write at like a fifth grade level. Okay. So even if you sell a highly technical product, I would not advise you to speak highly technically in any of your posts. Okay. You can do that when you have a meeting with your client and you need to show them features, functions, whatever. But like when we look at LinkedIn, it is a marketing tool. People don't realize this. Anytime you post on LinkedIn, you're writing marketing copy. I don't care if you're in sales, you're writing marketing copy. It's sitting there, living, breathing, attracting. So when you think about it that way, it's what do you like to consume? Easy things to read. That's the first thing. Nobody wants to be caught up in that. They will scroll past. The second thing is just about authenticity and how much you want to share. For me personally, I have built an entire personal brand about being 100% me. And it's actually really funny because, when you look at metrics, and even for creators, they always say, go back and look at your top performing posts. Go see what your audience wants to know. You know what my audience wants to know about? They want to know about my kids. They want to know about my husband. They want to know about my vacations. Those are the posts that actually, for me, perform the very, very best. They're my stories of overcoming. They're my stories of learning and life and lessons. They are more relatable than a post about your job. They are more relatable than a post about your business because it transcends, right? So I always think of those as just connection posts. That's how do I be interesting to someone? How do I connect with them on that human level? And we as writers, we as employees, we as salespeople have different levels of comfort. And so if you don't feel comfortable bearing your soul to the internet, nobody is asking you to, okay? Let me be very clear on that. But what I can tell you is if you do feel comfortable sharing things that you are interested in, you will attract. And that's the goal with LinkedIn. You want to become a magnet. So regardless of, the attraction, yes, by creating your content pillars and having things that you focus on and certain general topics with your content, you're going to start to curate an audience that you desire. But you're also going to have outliers with your personal content. And here's why the outliers are really important. People don't think about this oftentimes. The outliers are important because they're going to refer people to you. Mm-hmm. They're going to learn about what you do. They're going to like you. And the next time someone they know is looking for someone that does what you do or what you sell, they're going to be like, you need to talk to so-and-so. They're great. I saw them on LinkedIn. So those people are not worth your while. I've gotten some incredible referrals. I've gotten referrals from people that someone goes, oh yeah, so-and-so sent me your way. And I'm like, I have no idea who that person is, but amazing. Thank you. But they've been watching.
Yeah. It humanizes you in a way.
Absolutely.
Like you said, you mentioned when you post, you are creating marketing content. And I think the human posts are the bridge between content and then this is a real living, breathing thing. You know what I mean? And,
yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's what people truly remember. Let's jump into a businessy question. Cause okay. I know if you're one of those sales leaders we talked about at the top of the call, that's very metric driven and needs to understand the impact. How can businesses measure the impact of their sales team, social selling efforts on lead gen and overall revenue? What do you recommend to actually track that or know if it's working?
Totally. So 2 easy wins there. So number 1 is anytime someone fills out a form about your business, the how did we hear about you, leave it blank. Give them the opportunity to tell you so-and-so on LinkedIn or just LinkedIn or whatever that may be. The second is you can create landing pages. You can create UTM links. This is marketing, folks. So salespeople, open your ears, get ready. But there are trackable ways that you can see if this is working. I just saw a statistic. One person on Samantha McKenna's team just posted that personal profiles receive 70% more traffic and more engagement than a corporate profile. So do not sleep on this. Your team's profiles. I'm not talking CEO, which amazing. You want your CEO posting, of course. But your team has so much reach collectively. Count the impressions. Make that part of your tracking. Say, hey, we're going to do a team project. Tell me what you're starting with right now. LinkedIn provides all these analytics for you. You don't have to go far. You pop in, you set your in a week, 28 days, 90 days, however long it is you want to measure, and you can track increase, decrease, whatever it may be for your team. Not a hard lift, heavy lift.
Yeah, that's one of those things that I think some people just don't know. Some of the analytics LinkedIn does provide. It's funny. We have a guy that works here at Ambition that hasn't posted in like years. He's got like 20,000 like followers on LinkedIn.
Oh my
I'm like,
God.
we're doing a project like a year ago. We're like, Andy, what the heck? Like, wait a minute, where did this audience come from?
I
Years
love
ago,
it.
he had built it up, but it's really funny. I think like that is the easy part that if you don't know, you just don't know. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I think that's really helpful to point folks in that direction.
The
In
other,
this,
so really quick, the other thing I will say is we touched on this earlier. LinkedIn is not immediate gratification. So
right.
when you are looking at metrics, and I have ghostwriting clients who'll be like, "Oh my God, my post today," and I'm like, "Remember, it's over time. What is happening over time?" So don't get caught up in the day to day of like, "Oh, that post didn't perform," or "Oh, I didn't get any likes," or this, that, and the other. Number one, likes don't close deals, likes don't pay the bills. So always remember that. And number two is it's a flywheel. You have to get it started and you have to commit to consistent engagement, posting, what have you, over time to truly see the results and benefits that it can offer.
I'm going to throw a different question at you because I've been thinking about this. So we've been talking about like content creation, but I
Yeah.
think there's another component of LinkedIn that some folks don't really understand, maybe not understand, but don't think about. Like if you're not, say you're not somebody that is creative enough to post daily or even post once a week, like what are some other ways that you can use LinkedIn as a social selling tool beyond just posting your own content? Like, what do you think
Yep.
around that?
So, two things come immediately to mind. The first is commenting. You always want to be in the comments of your ICP, your target buyers, for sure. Get on their radar. Every time you leave a comment, someone's going to see your picture and the first part of your headline. So, what you have in that first part of your headline is super, super, super important, along with what you have to say in your comment. So, comments should be thoughtful. It shouldn't just be like, nice post, great idea, blah, blah, blah. Also, please don't use AI comments. Like, I don't even know where to begin on that, but we can tell. Just FYI, we can tell. And we know that you're not trying, right? Like, you're trying, but you're not trying, if that makes sense. So please don't use AI. Please make sure you're thoughtful, but be strategic with them. Like when you think about where you are spending your energy with your commenting strategy, get on your buyer's radar. That's the first thing. The second thing is LinkedIn has an amazing feature. And if your team has Sales Navigator, you 100% have this. You can see who has viewed your profile. Massive win. Go talk to those people. Hey, thanks for stopping by. If there's ever anything you need, if I can ever be of service, I'm here for you. Then show them you know them. Find a little thing on their profile that you liked. We love compliments. Everybody loves compliments, but connect with them. And that's an easy win. There is a reason they were on your profile. You might not know it. It might not be to buy from you, but there's something about your profile that was interesting to them. So opening that door for conversation is a massive win. Do it. That's my advice.
I love that, and like you're right. Like they were there for a reason, and it may seem if you're brand new to it, like it may seem scary saying, "Hey Alexis, I saw you're on my profile," but it's actually pretty natural, right? When you humanize it and show me you know me, and you never know where that conversation could go. That's something our team does here. And it blows my mind when we started doing that.
Totally. And I would say too, like make sure, in that initial message, you are not selling. Like
totally.
that is not, I don't care if it's a cold message. I don't care if it's someone who's visited your profile. I don't care what that first message is, who it's to. Please don't sell on the first message. That's like, it's not a good look.
It's a bad look.
Yeah.
It's a bad look. I know we're coming up on time. I want to ask one other question here that I think can be helpful for folks that are in the mindset of getting started. Like you've talked a lot about what to do, right? But what are some of the common obstacles sales teams face when adopting this mindset? And how can we overcome these barriers? Like what should we expect? What's going to make this harder than it has to be?
I think not having systems, this can be a time suck. Like, let me be the first to say that if your team does not have a strategy in place, especially around time management, this could be a just a never ending cycle of like, well, I was looking for prospects and I was researching and I was doing this and I was doing that. So get really clear with them on like, here's our playbook. Here's how you're going to do it. You're going to create a list. You're going to go to them. You're going to connect with all of them. You know, you need X connections a day. You need X comments a day. Come up with a structured LinkedIn strategy that they can check the boxes on, right? Just like phone calls, just like emails, where they know, like, cool, I'm hitting my metrics, I'm doing what I need to do. And then once I'm done with that, I don't need to spend my entire day on LinkedIn screwing around. And I shouldn't say screwing around because I'm on LinkedIn a lot, but you get my point.
Yep.
You know, the other thing too is give them the space to try things out. So we don't know what kind of content is going to resonate with our audiences. And I will guarantee you that even within your own sales team, they're going to have different audiences. Yes, there's going to be some overlap. There's going to be components that are the same, but one person's style isn't necessarily going to be another person's style. And so I would advise leaders not to micromanage that. Let them be themselves. Their vibes will attract their tribe, which is exponential growth for you. So just, you know, give them the freedom to do that. And I would say patience. Patience is a virtue. This is not an immediate return. This is you need to give it time.
Yeah, systems is something that we're a big believer in over here. I mean, yeah, it is so powerful hearing this insight from somebody like yourself. Hopefully everyone that's been listening today has clearly gotten some like actual stuff you can go do now, which is exciting. Yeah. But if you want to learn more, Alexis, I know you have a master class coming up. Do you want to share a little bit about that with the audience?
Absolutely. So I am partnering with the incredible Chelsea Olson. She owns Close. It's a social selling academy. Essentially, she helps business owners and sales leaders train in actual social selling. My component of it is the content component. I'm the ghostwriter, and I teach you how to write really incredible content to attract leads and opportunities. So we are coming together, two powerhouse women in LinkedIn and social selling. And that's on January 21st. It'll be in the evening, so nobody has the excuse of them being at work. You can come. But go check out my LinkedIn profile. My name on there is Alexis Rivera Scott, and you can find all the information to sign up.
We're going to add that in the show notes for everybody. Alexis, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.